In this video I'll be discussing the audience feedback which I received for my music video and kind of analysing the results of the questionnaire that I conducted. The first question which I asked in my audience questionnaire was, did you understand the narrative of the music video, and if so, what did you understand about it? 6 out of the 15 people that answered the questionnaire said no, they didn't understand anything about the narrative at all, they didn't get anything from it. The other 9 obviously did, and they gave comments on what they grasped from our video's narrative. 5 of them mentioned the word loneliness, which is obviously good because we did intend to represent Sim in a very isolated, lonely environment. And 2 of these respondents mentioned about wanting an old life back, like having 2 sides, like a former life where he was happy, kind of represented by the photographs on the wall, and this new life where he is by himself and lonely, isolated, which was what we intended. Mental health issues were mentioned by 3 out of the 15, and the drugs and the kind of medication and the pills were picked up on by 3 out of the 15 people as well, which is because obviously we did highlight the medication somewhat by having the packets of pills on the shelf, and also one of the first shots is of a line of pills on the shelf, so obviously picking up on that was very good because we did intend for the audience to recognise the sort of mental health side of it. Although it's not completely obvious from the narrative, it's good that people did pick up on this part of our narrative. The second question that I asked my audience was what their favourite shots were from the music video, and each kind of respondent did put a few which they particularly liked from the video. The ones that were most popular were the fire, the burning triangle, and also any shots that I'd put the reverse editing technique on to make them a bit quirkier. We're glad that the fire triangle symbol was picked up on, because obviously it is the last shot of the music video of the triangle burning out into darkness, which is quite symbolic of the triangle being like a trap for the main character, and obviously isolation and kind of just his mental state of mind. So obviously then picking up on that was symbolic, good, because obviously narratively the triangle is important, and also because aesthetically the shot is very nice with the fire burning against kind of the black night sky. So I'm glad they got picked up on that one because it was a shot which I enjoyed as well. And obviously the reverse shots, it's nice they picked up on those because they are very quirky and alternative, which is what we were going for with our alternative genre music video. So picking up on something that was more alternative and not as conventional as, say, like a popular music video for their favourite shot is obviously successful for us as well, because it shows that we did go for something more alternative and were successful with this, as opposed to a kind of conventional popular music video shot, which probably would have reflected that we hadn't been as successful with these quirkier shots as we thought we were. Question 3 was, what did you dislike about the music video? And this could be anything from shots to anything you could possibly think of about the music video. 5 of the 15 respondents said they disliked the unclear narrative, but these 5, all of them did say they didn't understand anything about the narrative, which obviously, if you don't understand something, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much, whether you do kind of grasp a general understanding of it, as like the other 9 respondents did. So having the people that said they didn't understand the narrative saying that their least favourite thing about the video was the narrative and the fact they didn't understand it, probably doesn't reflect too badly in the video, purely because that's kind of expected of someone who wouldn't understand the narrative as clearly as those who do. Something else that was disliked was the close-ups of Sim. 4 people said that those were the least favourite parts of the music video. I don't know why. I personally liked them, but obviously maybe they were overused. They were obviously towards the end of the video when we have that kind of montage of shots of Sim, quite close up, or it's kind of a medium close-up shot. Maybe that was overused, I'm not entirely sure, but unfortunately the respondents didn't elaborate as to why they didn't like those close-up shots, but maybe it's something to look at. Question 4 of my questionnaire was, did the video remind you of Alt J's work, and if so, what? 10 of the 15 respondents didn't know who Alt J were, or hadn't seen any of their videos, or didn't know them well enough to make a judgment as to whether we'd referenced them correctly or whether it reminded them at all. So that wasn't particularly helpful, but seeing as Alt J are quite alternative, it was kind of expected that people wouldn't know who they were. But the 5 people that did know who Alt J were said that the triangles well, four out of the 5 mentioned the triangles, obviously the symbol of the triangle being used throughout, which obviously was something we intentionally planted in the video over and over again, frequently, to reference them directly. So obviously we were obviously successful with that, seeing as people that didn't know who they were mentioned it. And 3 of those 5 mentioned the slow editing technique. The one person said that it was like the Breezebox video, which is a very slow music video. Again, because the music is so calm, having really quick editing and fast cuts probably wouldn't match it as well as the slow editing that we did. So obviously that's successful for us, so I'm pleased with that. Question 5 was, did the music video follow popular conventions? I was surprised by the results for this question, as 9 of the 15 said that it did follow the conventions of popular music videos, and 6 said that it didn't. Obviously the questionnaire was online to anonymous people, so I don't know obviously who said what, but when I've asked people in my media class obviously know what the word convention means, and obviously about popular music videos, blah blah blah, they all said no it didn't, which is obviously what we were going for, so maybe I should have made the question clearer as to what I meant by popular conventions. So maybe that was my fault, because I don't personally think that we did, although maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe the 9 people who said that we did follow the popular conventions were correct in what they were saying, but I think with that result it's more kind of my wording of the question was incorrect, so I'm not sure how helpful that question is in answering kind of was it a successful piece or not. But the 6 said didn't follow popular conventions. I agree with them in the fact that it didn't, because obviously I tried very hard, or Izzy and I tried very hard to make sure that it didn't follow the popular music video conventions and it was more alternative. So with that question I'm not entirely sure what to say for it. Question 6 was the triangle noticed and was it effective? 100% of people said yes it was effective and they noticed it and they thought it was good, so obviously that is completely fantastic for Izzy and I, because we obviously, like I said before, we planted that triangle there to directly reference Dr. J, and we were hoping people would pick up on it. Obviously we put it quite obviously with the burning triangle, and then kind of slightly more discreetly with the paintings, like maybe not as in your face as obviously having just the burning triangle on the screen. And obviously when Sim draws the triangle into the window, it's not as obvious as when there's like a burning triangle there. So obviously people picking up on it being used frequently throughout the video is good for us, because we planted it there, obviously. So having 100% of the people noticing the triangle, not necessarily understanding its meaning or symbolism or the fact that it's from Alt J, but the fact they noticed it and thought they were good shots and effective, is perfect for us. Next I asked the respondents to write down a few things, or type a few things that suggest loneliness in the piece. Obviously loneliness and isolation were big parts of our music video. 7 of the 15 mentioned the fact that Simeon was the only character, there's only one character throughout the whole piece, and obviously that does contribute greatly to loneliness, since he is the only character in it, so it's good that that was mentioned. 5 people mentioned kind of the screaming shots of Sim with the scratching on the floorboards, which is obviously good because that represents Simeon's kind of insanity and the mental health issues vaguely explored in the piece. So obviously picking up on those is good as well. And the pills were mentioned by 5 people as well. Obviously the medication which is insinuated that Simeon would be taking was mentioned, which I think are fair things to suggest for loneliness, because obviously they were planted there, and the kind of the thought that you would get from those 3, the kind of insanity of scratching the floorboards and the mental health issues that are insinuated from the pills, and the fact he's the only character there, are all fair points to make about loneliness, if that makes sense. Next I asked, were the slow motion and reversed shots effective in the piece? 14 of the 15 people said yes they were effective, and 1 person said no, so overall I think having the vast majority of my respondents saying that yes they were effective, the quirky editing techniques were effective, I think that shows that it was very effective for the piece. I don't think that 1 person really kind of shadows the fact that the 14 others said that it was effective, so that was good. For the last 2 questions I asked, does the video reflect the genre well? And then the last question was, did you like the video? And for both of those questions, 15 out of 15 said yes they did think it reflected the alternative genre well, and yes they did like the video. So obviously that's fantastic for us, because even though 6 of those 15 didn't actually understand the narrative, the fact they actually liked the video obviously is fantastic for us, because obviously it means they don't even have to understand the video to even like it. So in a way it is popular because the random people that filled out the questionnaire all liked it, and I mean obviously we don't know what music they actually like personally, but the fact that everyone liked it is fantastic for Izzy and I, because it means that we were successful with our music video.